Hello, I'm Ed Parcaut, your host of Inner Edison. And today I'm with, did I get this right? Liana Zavo? Did I
That's
get
correct.
that close at all? Yeah, it's a redneck in me. I apologize. Um, all right. So you were sent to me, and I was, when I looked into what the person who sent you to me and the stuff, what really got me is the company that you have and what you do, right? Getting public relations, right? Getting people into magazines, getting people into other content. You kind of want to go into a little detail into what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the intro. I'm Liana Zavo, and I am
You
a
said
PR.
that so amazing. Say that again. I'm serious. Say it again.
Zavo. I am a PR strategist and expert, media expert. I help position you as a recognized expert in the press and media. So getting your name out there, creating visibility and credibility, you among basically making you stand out from your competitors. That's the most important thing. Your voice matters. So making you seen and heard and getting you into different top tier publications. I think that's the name of the game because there's so much noise, right? And you want to stand out. So my goal is to get in there and make sure to hone in on your story and make you stand out.
All right. So before we get into all that, what got you into this? Into that, because we all have our story, how we got to where we are, and it's not always the same. It's all different for everybody. So how did you get into doing this?
Yeah.
Was this your ultimate goal in life? Was this what you,
Yeah.
when you were a kid, you grew up, you said, this is what I want to be?
Yes, actually, exactly
Really?
what it was. I wanted to be on TV. Okay, so when I used to watch TV and anchors and just news, I would say, how would I get on TV? But as an immigrant from Russia, when you're an immigrant, a lot of the teachers won't just believe in you. I was swayed from my dreams by my teacher, unfortunately. So I was told not to pursue my dream because I didn't have enough relationships, I guess, and I have to go to college. And I mean, that was not an issue, but somehow automatically they feel that being an immigrant, you probably won't go to college and you're just going to, should find another route. So what I did was in 11th grade, I really wanted to pursue it. And at that time, my parents didn't believe in me, actually. They're like, you know what, that's not something you should be doing. Why don't you just, stick to the safe route, become a doctor, a lawyer. What is public relations? Are you going to be traveling a lot? They're very conservative Russians and they want, kind of stay home with the family and just like do a 9 to 5. So,
They want to protect you. They don't want you to get hurt. They want you to, yeah.
But then at the same token, they actually are hurting me because if I want to pursue a dream and that's what it takes, then I would do it. But when you're dependent on your parents and your family, I guess you have to kind of find a middle ground. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to become a doctor or lawyer. Perhaps I'll go into speech pathology. It has to do with speech. It has to do with speaking and getting. Well, it was more intense than that. It wasn't even what I wanted to do. I did it for 2 years and then I dropped out of college. So I found different ways to get into PR. And then when we opened up a restaurant in New York City, we needed buzz for our restaurant. My family has a bunch of restaurants and we needed buzz. And so
hold on, I'm confused. Your parents didn't want you to go in public in this, but they're going to open up one of the most things that go under the most, which is restaurants.
Well, I grew up with restaurants,
but you understand what I'm getting at. That's just a conflict.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. But because they are, it's like a man thing to do, right? I'm a man, and I'll do it. My father is very, alpha, and so a woman needs to be more secured in her position, but a man, obviously, whatever. So they needed buzz, and I was kind of already getting into this whole sphere of like how to get recognized, how to be seen, and how to be heard. And so I found this company, a PR agency in New York. And so we had an agreement. I would bring them clients and they would teach me everything in PR. So I referred my restaurant as my first client. And so, the rest was history. So I brought so many clients to them. I learned the ropes of PR, fostered relationships with journalists. And so I was already set and decided to open up my own company.
Now, do a lot of people who are reporters and have these relationships start these type of companies? Is this typical or is this unique?
This type of arrangement, what I had?
No, I'm talking about start their own PR company like you did. Is that unusual for people to do that, or do they? Because in my industry, it's not unheard of for somebody to go out and start their own company doing the same thing they're doing at my company. You follow me? But I'm just curious of the PR world and that kind of stuff. Is it the same way, or is it more that they're big guys only and none of the smaller people?
Yeah, it's like the bigger guys, It's mostly dominated by men, actually.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking all these questions is because my listeners aren't going to know. And if I'm curious, I'm sure they are too. So I'm trying to understand everything about it as we get to what you do and how you help so many people. All right. So you decided you brought all these people to them. So let's go back to your family's restaurant. How did it change the family restaurant?
What do you mean?
The PR, doing the PR for them. What did they do? So as a typical situation, you brought your family restaurant to them and they said, teach me PR. What did they do to make changes for your family restaurant? Did it work? Did they do a lot of stuff, or was it just they did a few things and then it kind of worked and then you went on to other clients? I'm just trying to see, if I had a restaurant, how would PR help me? I know how you can help me, but I'm saying, how would it help a restaurant?
Yeah, so basically, restaurants, especially our restaurant, we were in the heart of in New York City. And so 3rd and 62nd, there's a lot of other restaurants around us and we wanted to stand out. So PR helps with event planning. PR helps with influencer marketing as well, bringing influencers. PR will get you into different publications. So they got our restaurant into Forbes. And so I do something totally different. I mean, like from what they do, they represent a company. I represent the person behind the company, right? So I'm more about personal branding recognition versus just like, I'm going to represent a restaurant as a whole.
No, I understand that, because that's like in our industry, you have personal branding and then you have the company branding. For me, they personally brand me because people use me. My company, it doesn't matter because I could leave my company today and go to a different company or start something else. So there's two types of branding always. And I think people get confused. And a lot of the older people in the industry think there's only one person they got to focus on, which is the company. No, you got to focus on whether it's the founder or whether it's somebody else who's, the person. People want to know who that person is in order to enjoy what they have produced.
Yeah, people actually connect with others on an emotional level. So in order to support you and what you do, they need to be emotionally connected with your story. And so my goal is to bring out that emotional feeling, that's who I want to work with. Why go to you? Why work with you as opposed to someone else? And so being authentic and transparent in what you do and just being open about your challenges you face, especially during COVID, there were so many stories that I wanted to capture. And it's about, what makes you stand out? Tell me about your hardships. How did COVID, shape you into a better business or a better personal brand? And so that in itself was an eye opener. I mean, I even rebranded myself during COVID. And it tripled my business.
All right, let's go there. How did you rebrand yourself during COVID?
So
you put it out there. I'm going to ask the question if you're going to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started connecting with my audience more. So before COVID, unfortunately, I was not connected to the digital world as much as obviously with COVID. Everything took place in my restaurant, all the interviews, everyone would just come over. And so wine and dine and the whole nine. And so it wasn't like I wasn't really digital savvy. That was a downfall on my end. So I needed to pivot drastically and to understand how can I bring my guests onto and have this connection. But I didn't want to just have this just between the two people. I wanted everyone to jump in and say, you know what? Oh, she's interviewing so-and-so. We can't wait and see it. So what I did was I created IGTV and everyone was live with me via Instagram Live. And so their followers will see my followers and vice versa. And so that's how I grew my personal brand online and I rebranded. I mean, I wasn't really visible or heard or seen as much as I am now since 3 years.
So basically you started using Instagram TV, right? And so you started using more social media. Did you not really use much social media before?
I have, but I haven't.
I mean, you look like somebody who would use a lot of social media.
Yeah, no.
You're younger. Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm younger, but I'm still a millennial. I'm not a Gen Z. I have a 16-year-old son. So he doesn't even use as much Instagram. But what I've learned is to use video. And video is so crucial part of any business, right? So if you don't have video in your business, you're really not existing. So start using video, start speaking, and basically just, telling us your story. translating your message. Your message can be the same as someone else's, right? You might say, well, I sound just like someone else, but remember, you're a messenger. Every messenger is different, and you can relate differently to the audience.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't want to do video because they're afraid of how they look or how they sound, and they don't understand we already know how they look and how they sound. So just get over it and move on. But I say that everybody is a media company that does, whatever it is that you do, right? You're a media company that owns a restaurant. You're a media company that sells clothes. You're a media company that does loans. You have to get that video out there and get that content. And I was the worst at it. Might not be amazing now, but I'm just saying, doing it. And then COVID, I started doing Helping the Brave, which was a podcast about helping vets once they take the uniform off. We started doing lives. I was like, wow, this is easy. Why have I waited so long to do this? And now it's to a point where they say, Ed, can you stop doing the content? You got a little too much content. So
yeah, no, I think it's the best thing what you're doing. Keep doing it. I think everyone should jump in and start having their own podcast. I mean, that's the new thing. Everyone wants to hear your voice, something in a person's voice. You can't just fake that. When people hear your voice, they know the energy behind it. And so Clubhouse actually was something that propelled me even further to give my voice so much power.
Yeah, for me, Clubhouse helped me set up all my podcasts because, nobody really was telling everybody how to do it, right? They didn't keep it a secret, but nobody was like, this is how you do it. And then they had these couple of rooms on there, a couple of guys and then every day they were there and you could ask them the questions and, do different things. And to a point where I do live radio too. I do a local, on a local AM station talk radio for real estate and finance. But and the reason I'm bringing this up is you got to look at every avenue, right? And so we took that, well, it's radio. Well, now we do it live on LinkedIn and YouTube at the same time we're on air. So now we've taken that. So what you have to do is look at things differently than everybody else. And I'm getting back to you in a second. And that's what you did. We all during COVID either killed you or it changed your business to the better. And for most people, I think it changed it to the better, right? There's a lot of stuff we've made changes to because of it that has helped us to this day, right? The best thing for me is I had my employees go home.
No, yeah. Well, I had to pay them even though they were home.
Mine were working at home, but I'm paying them, but they're working at home. The difference is for me, it just allows me to have less space for all my employees. Some people need to be at work. Some people don't. And most of the admin I deal with don't. So for me, it was great to learn that, because prior to that, you think they're not going to work. They're not going to do their job, and it just forced us to allow people to do what they want. And now they don't want to ever come back. Right.
Yeah, it actually forced them to be more creative in a way. And it's good. I think that's what makes it more interesting, that a lot of employees just became creative and not being micromanaged.
Yeah, because for me, it's not about the time you put in; it's the job is done. As long as I give you, you get all the stuff done. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know it takes you 4 hours. I deal with a lot of clients who they're working 2 jobs full time from home. Figure that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Back to you about the public relations. This is important because you brought up the video, and that's why I wanted to keep going on it because it's so true. Now, besides IGTV, it's Instagram, have you done anything else? Are you on TikTok now? Are you on everything else? Or you just stay with that?
No, I'm not on TikTok. Sometimes it depends on my mood. I'm on more on LinkedIn. That's where a lot of my clients see me. I'm very active there. So when you are so active on a platform, you get recognized by other platforms. So BBC News reached out to me and did a whole interview on NFTs, right? And so I did a recent article on NFTs in Forbes where I covered a whole perspective about how women are being underrepresented. And today's, March 8th, International Women's Day. Why not talk about that, right? So women are being underrepresented in the NFT market. And so when you speak about that, you're bringing awareness. And so others are starting to voice their opinions and become educated. And so they wanted to mint their own NFT. So it's so important to understand that you as a person can only do so much, right? And so if you're not educated about the sphere you're in, if you wanted to branch out, you have to stay with anything, you got to stay on trend. Otherwise you fall off the grid. So wherever you are trending, if it's TikTok, if it's LinkedIn, Facebook, it doesn't matter where it is. Make sure that you are relevant to what it is, the platform, and that should become recognized. So I became recognized on LinkedIn. I was noticed. I was interviewed. So just pick your platform and see which one fits best.
I totally agree. Can you say something I can disagree with, please? All right, so let's go back to. Sorry, I'm old school. That just happens when I joke. All right, sorry, nothing personal.
Okay.
Don't. Yeah.
I'm old school.
Yeah, some people are a little different. So I want to go back to what you said about being an immigrant and in school. And see, for me, I look at that differently. I look at that immigrants who come here work harder to get more done than and this is our weak children that we have now. And I mean this with all due respect. They say weak times make weak people, hard times make hard people. When you're an immigrant coming to America, or coming how you get here, you fought to get here. And so you fight to every tooth and nail to do what you want. And I can see how your parents wanted to protect you, but I can also see how you could take on the world. So, and not only as an immigrant, but then you add that as a woman, I totally could see how you could do whatever you want. I'm a totally different guy. I believe in women's rights to do everything. I get mad when my wife doesn't vote, because I'm like, people fought for this right and you don't even vote. So get your butt out there and vote. But it's important to support women everywhere. I mean, I don't get it myself. Why, you said it's a man's world in certain things. I could see that long time ago, but I see more and more people like me now. Yes, there's the old school, because the immigrant population is different, right? Their dad is like totally alpha male, like you said, right? And they see their daughter as their daughter who should marry and move on. But that's not the case. You're in America. So how did you get around that to where you are now? And I'm not going to get away I'm still going to come back to your book, and I'm still going to come back to other stuff, but I think it's not talked about enough about how immigrants can do so much for this country. You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're so right.
And you never thought I'd come here, huh? You didn't think you'd be asked to talk about this on your podcast, but
no, actually, I hope you did, and you did. I'm glad you did. So what I have to tell you is that being an immigrant, a lot of girls would use that and say, I'll just kind of go I'll take what comes my way, but I'm not going to really fight for it, right? I had a lot of friends who would just marry off and to someone who is super wealthy and just won't really do much for themselves. I was always someone that said, I need to make a presence. I need to leave a legacy. I need to be known for who I was, so from a young age, right? And so that's something that was instilled in me, not because of my parents, but it was something instilled in me because I kind of like, I guess I was reading a lot into, books and whatever that kind of made me realize like, I need to do better. So being an immigrant, coming here, and so understanding that I wouldn't get the same rights, made me understand that I need to backtrack and maybe just kind of retrace what I need to do. So I told my parents at that time, I'm like, look, I am going to probably get married early because you're not going to give me this opportunity. So I did. So I got married at 18, and then I had my child at 19, and then I got divorced at 20. And then I dropped out at 21. So I had to do these things only because I wasn't allowed to have a voice, right, to the degree that I wanted to. So you said, how did I come around and be the woman I am today? I had to put my foot down and say, okay, if it's not going to be my way, then obviously I'm going to create it to be my way. I would have been that girl who probably had 5, 6 kids right now, worked 9 to 5 and just catered to her husband, but I decided not to do that and take my power back and do what I'm supposed to do here. And my mission is I'm a global entrepreneur. I just diversified my business into Dubai, Paris, London, and Australia. So I've traveled every, 3 times a month to overseas. And so that's what my goal is. My mission is to uplift others and to bring them awareness, to give them a voice, and to make them recognized as experts.
So what would you tell a little girl like you today? What would you tell them how to go forward? Because, it's a lot. I mean, today is, like you said, it's March 8th. It's so just happened to be that day. Is that why you picked today of all days?
Yes, I said, let's do
I was like,
it.
all of a sudden it's like, boom, I got one at 12:30. What? I didn't have anybody. Anyway, I think it's really important because I have 3 daughters. Same thing. I want them to do everything they possibly can in this world. You limit yourself. Enough people will limit you. You shouldn't limit yourself.
Right.
So what would you tell somebody yourself today? Would you tell them to do anything differently?
I would say that, well, looking back, I would say learn how to say no, and don't be a people pleaser. That was my downfall. I was a people pleaser. I was afraid what they would think. I was afraid, I would be judged, and just be your own person. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how nice you are. It matters what you be kind and be nice, but don't please everyone thinking that's the only way to show you're nice, right? And so I would say to every little girl out there is to, confidence is what you make out of it. You have to practice it. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. And so what I did was I would talk to myself in the mirror and say positive affirmations, saying, why not you? Why not me? My life depends on this. So I'm going to put everything here. I'm going to bet on myself. And so when you say to yourself, why not me? I am capable. I'm beyond unstoppable, and all these positive affirmations from a young age. Learn how to speak positive to yourself. Create that image, that positive image in your mind that you're capable of tackling anything in the world. Then, everything is possible.
Right. I mean, because today's world there's so many people who be negative to you already. I mean, put anything out there that someone's going to be a hater. There's just nothing you can do about it.
Well, they're just motivators. I love that. Okay.
I look at it this way. You're nobody until you have haters.
Yeah.
Right. Once you have haters, you're somebody. And that's the thing, is people have to realize you're not going to please everybody. That's okay. But you will get the people who want to be around you and want to know who you are, the right people. Say who you are, be who you are, and just be that way, because it doesn't matter, because then you'll bring the right people to you. And that's I want to bring this back to your PR. And that's basically what you're saying with your PR. Find out who that person is, get that information out there, and so that you can benefit that person's brand by who they are. Right. Mm-hmm. So now let's go back to the PR part. Oh, actually, let's stop that. Show me that book again that you wrote. Let's bring out the book.
So I wrote this book last year, B.E.P.I.C. It's a one-word acronym, and I teach you how to lead with 5 simple hacks, right? So each letter stands for something, and it's be seen and be heard. So in this book, I teach you what I wish I learned, right, before I went through so much. There's so many tips here and so many tricks that you will learn right away in order to create a strong personal brand, how to speak with positivity to yourself. And it's just short, but it's so useful.
So basically it's what we've been talking about. So B.E.P.I.C, what's the acronym? So
B is turn your belief into reality. So I teach you how to do that. E is empowerment.
Hold on. How do you turn your belief into reality?
Oh my God, we're going to really get so your belief.
Short, just,
it's whatever you can conceive in your mind, like Napoleon Hill said, right? Whatever you can conceive, you can achieve, right? And so whatever you conceive is your reality, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you turn that belief into a reality, that in itself, it can happen so fast as long as you can hold it in your mind. It's like planting a seed.
So basically what you put out there, you're going to get back. What you believe is, and what you're going to be seeing and that's basically what your B is.
It's that you're planting a seed every day. You think about it every day. You carry that. E is empowerment, how you become empowered when you speak to yourself with positive affirmations, right? So you become empowered through that. P is personal satisfaction. You get personal satisfaction when you create this strong personal brand, and I teach you how to do that. I is about your inner voice, and that comes from listening to yourself. Again, I'm very big on spirituality and meditation, so I teach you how to listen to the inner voice, which is at the end your unique voice, right? whatever speaks to you inside is your unique voice. Sometimes people are just so afraid to listen to their inner voice. They're kind of like, no, that's not me, right? They kind of sway from that, but that is you. And C is the courage to step out of your comfort zone, courage to say, you know what, it's time for me to make a difference, have an impact. And I teach you how to step out by being courageous.
Was that so hard? Was that so difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I can
but you're like, am I going to do this? Yeah, I want to know what the acronym is. It says be seen and be heard. What's the acronym? Now we know what you basically, I mean, Napoleon Hill, and even the movie later that was called The Secret, which should have been sued for doing, Napoleon Hill years later, basically was what the same thing. What you put out there, you get back. So if you're putting out in the universe that you're this wrong, whatever, that's what people are going to see. So you're totally right about your book. And I'm glad that you wrote that book for people. I'd probably for more women than anybody else, correct?
So I wrote this book because of this statistic came out at the start of the pandemic. 45% of women actually weren't able to be heard during virtual meetings. I mean, can you believe it? 45% of women were not able to communicate during virtual meetings because they felt something was stopping them, because they didn't have the confidence to speak up. And so when that statistic came out, I'm like, wait, I wanted to write a book. I have to write a book. And it took me about a year to write this book, but still, that statistic is valid. And this is a self-development guide. It's a part memoir, part self-development guide, showing you what I went through and so what you can do as well to get past your obstacles and challenges.
Could you imagine me when you're actually in your middle ages, what you've gone through? So, because you're still young. So
yes.
That's all we're going to say. All right. So you got that book. This is what I hear about you today. All right. So really important for you to help women to be heard. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it, right? So however that is to get you to that point so you feel like you can be heard, right? Am I getting closer?
Giving voice to the voiceless. Okay. Right. I would say that. I give voice to the voiceless. I make you feel empowered, give you the confidence.
Well, let's go back to what you just said. You give the voice to the voiceless, right? That right there, in order to have that voice, you have to have all those other things. So you feel that you can do that voice. And so thank you for doing that for women and for yourself and writing the book for people. And a lot of people are going to say you're a sap. No, you don't understand. I totally believe in this because I don't understand how people think that only guys should this and women. I know. Give me a woman all day long versus a guy, and this thing will get done so much faster and better. So.
Good, thank you.
As long as they can do the job, of course, right?
Right.
All right. So basically with your PR, you're doing the same thing, right? What the voice you're giving to women that through your book, as they can be heard, is the voice you're giving to your clients so that people can hear them and see them for who they are.
Right.
And so
as experts, exactly.
Right. And so we didn't even get into how you do it and all that good stuff because it's important for people to know who you are. Mm-hmm. Right. Just like your PR, there's methods to my madness. And it's important for people to know, how important it is for PR because it's important. You need to get in these places so people can find you. You have to. And because we're no longer staying in that little pond and be a big fish. You need to be a big fish in a big pond. And so people can find you. And that's what you do. Correct.
That's correct.
All right. Well, that was pretty good. Anything else you want to add today before we go? Because we might have to have you come back and actually do a whole thing on PR if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. I would love to. So, I'm running a masterclass right now. It's a free masterclass. We'd love for you to join. It's actually going to be based on 3 months. So I'll be teaching the 5 simple hacks for 3 months. We'll get together about once a month for an hour. And, it's going to be a fun time.
And that's the 5 hacks from your book, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure people follow us. Yeah. All right. So that's great. If somebody wanted to find you, how do they find you?
Instagram. So at Lady Zavo TV, or you can just email my team, hello@zavomedia.com.
The reason, because you want them to sign up for this masterclass.
Right. It's at zavomedia.com, actually, on my website. You can just sign up there.
Right. I just want people to know how to reach out to you if it's something they want to do. And when does your masterclass start?
So it starts every 3 months. So
okay,
right now,
so let's you'll do for 3 months and then do 3 months again.
Right. Yeah. So it just ended, and then it's going to start again at the end of March.
Okay. So if you're listening, so this podcast won't get out until probably June or May-ish. Yeah, I have a few in the what we used to call the can, or in the film thing years ago. But so we're about 12 weeks out with our podcast. So what we'll do is, so that will be, so when they're listening to this, then you'll have one in June. Is that correct?
Yes, okay. I will. Yes.
All right, I just want to make sure. So if you're listening to this and it's in June time, she's just started another one, but you can get on the schedule for the one right after that if she already started.
Yeah, just get on a waiting list. You can email us and get on a waiting list.
All right. I appreciate you being on today. I'm glad we got the internet thing taken care of. I'm just saying, it's, it's as bad as you would think in this day and age, it would be so easy and there wouldn't be lag on internet, but it's amazing how there is.
But I fixed it quickly.
No, I'm just saying in general. It has nothing to do with you. I'm just saying in general. I mean, because I pay for a ridiculous thing at the office, so I could do all this, and then there's still times where they mess with mine. So it's like, come on. I really appreciate you being on the show today, and thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you. And I'll talk to you soon.